Hello everyone, today I'll take you on a tour of this 2023 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 and I'll show you why it's one of the top selling vehicles in the United States. Chevrolet and their pickup trucks are some of the most popular trucks on the market, and this Silverado is a huge upgrade to the previous model. And I'm gonna go ahead and cover everything that this car has, so let's get started. Okay, so let's go ahead and start off with this infotainment system. And if you remember, I believe it was last May, I made a video about a 2022 GMC Sierra, and that car had a different kind of infotainment system layout. It was much smaller and it was much more like chunky, and there were customer reports that they wanted a larger, more user-friendly infotainment system to rival the likes of the Ram 1500 and the Ford F-150. And so Chevrolet has come out with this infotainment system for the Silverado, and I've got to say, it is really, really good. It's kind of connected with Google, so you have a lot of Google related things. You have Google Maps. If you hit Maps here, there you go, you have Google Maps, and it looks like I have to turn on the location services, so there we go. So location services is on now, and with this, you see, you can zoom in, pan around, find a destination. Let's head to Seattle. There you go. And in Seattle, you can see, you can hit that. It'll go ahead, try to fetch location. I don't have data services right now, so I can't do that. But once it does have data, it'll be able to navigate me to Seattle using Google Maps. It is a very, very useful feature here. I really like that Chevrolet has decided to use Google Maps here for the infotainment system because it's very, very easy to use. So heading back home, you see over here we have this kind of tabbed area over here. You can hit this home button too. That'll take you to your app screen. So getting to the app screen, once you're done with that, you can hit audio, for example. That'll take you to your media, and then the maps goes to the side. If you hit home and you go to your phone, this will allow you to control, for example, Bluetooth calls, and also you have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay here too. As you can see, you can enable your cameras. So these cameras will allow you to look at different things. Currently the car isn't on right now, so I can't show you these cameras because the car isn't on. But if it is on, you can see a variety of different views around the vehicle. You even have the Google Play Store, which will allow you to download Android apps for your car, which is a very cool feature. And you also have Google Assistant, which is probably the smartest voice assistant around. It's better than anything that manufacturers have. And if you hit Google Assistant, you can ask a question. What's the weather?
Sorry, I don't understand.
Yeah, because it's not connected to the internet. But if it is, it would be able to answer my questions quite cleanly. You have this thing called the trailer light test as well on the left. This will allow me to check whether my trailer lights are working, if I'm using a trailer with the car. But that's really about it in the infotainment system. The main advantage of the system is that it's just such a large screen. It's huge, a 13-inch screen. It might be difficult to catch the scale of it, but it's on camera. But it's a humongous infotainment system, very large, and I've got to say, very easy to use, and just a nice system overall, responsive and everything. So here are a couple of other features that I mentioned. Here you can access your climate controls here as well. So pretty much everything here. Very simple, very easy to use, and just nice overall. Alright, so let's go ahead and head down to the center stack over here. So over here you have a button to turn off the infotainment system. You also have that home button like I mentioned. Here you have a bunch of toggle switches to control various different things. For example, auto hold here. You can drop down the tailgate. It's a power tailgate. You have the hazard lights here. You can turn off traction control, and you also have this button that can roll down every single window in the car. Pretty cool feature when it's quite sunny. This weather isn't the optimal weather for rolling down all the windows at once, but if you're in a more sunny environment, then that is a nice feature to have. Down here you have all your climate control buttons, so it's not just the screen for climate controls. You do have buttons down here. You can adjust the temperature for both passengers over there. You can adjust the heated and ventilated seat. Oh, sorry, this is heated seats and this is just heated backrest. So you can adjust that. You can adjust where the air is coming. You have fan speed. And you even have this button that kind of is shaped like an SUV, which is a nice little touch. That's for the recirculating air. You have front and rear defrosters and the AC, and pretty much every climate control is down here, so you don't have to use the screen for the climate controls. It's all right there. Okay, so next up, let's go ahead and look at this huge center console. And I say huge because it really is massive. This truck is really wide and it's a huge car. So, because it's a truck, and so there's a lot of storage in here. You can see there's a bunch of space to put some belongings. You have 2 cup holders there as well. You have a gear lever, which is an interesting shape. You can see you kind of push it up and down like that. And you have this button too. It's an interesting gear lever. You also have 2 cup holders for the back passengers. And you have this huge center armrest. Inside you have a USB-C, a USB Type-A, and hopefully you can see that. I'm not sure if you can, but if you can, that is a power outlet, household style. Here you have a wireless charger underneath the center console, which is nice so that your phone doesn't like bump around. And over here you have this little upper storage tray, and underneath that a lot more storage under there. So overall, just a lot of stuff in here, and there's a lot of storage because this truck is just so big. So next up, I was going to talk about the full screen gauge cluster. Unfortunately, the car is off, so I can't show you the full screen gauge cluster on the car, but this car indeed has a full screen gauge cluster. You see, if I hit this button, you can see the whole thing turns on, so it's quite obviously a full screen gauge cluster. But it's pretty customizable, and because the car's off right now, I can't show you, but it is very customizable, and there's quite a bit going on in there, and it complements the center screen quite well. And in front of that, you have the steering wheel, as you can see. Very nice Chevrolet steering wheel here. You have the black logo for this trim level, which I'll go into later on in the video. But there you go. Very nice large steering wheel, obviously. This is a truck, so once again, everything's big in here. To the left, nice large area with a huge vent. You also have some modes here, including for 4-wheel drive, and your headlights are down there as well. Window controls to the left, and some nice wood trim going across the door here. And you also have the lock and unlock buttons as well. Down there, a bit of storage down here with 2 slots for cups as well. And overall, the driver's area is quite nice. Just a nice pleasant area. And to compare this with the GMC Sierra that I reviewed, this car is leagues better. There's way less plastic, it's way nicer in here, and I much prefer this Silverado to that GMC Sierra I reviewed. Not to say that Sierra is bad, it was still a very nice car. This Silverado, however, takes that Sierra to the next level. And in case you're wondering, that the Sierra also got the same benefits that the Silverado did, so you can still use that Sierra video as a nice guide for the GMC Sierra, but it's not going to look like that anymore on the inside. It's going to look more like this one. Alright, let's go ahead and talk about the seats in here. There are these very nice cloth seats, very big seats. The headrest is huge, and the seats are very comfortable. They're fully powered too, so no manual controls for this seat. Comfortable, quite nice seats in here. Complements the interior very well. Okay, so let's go ahead and head into the back seats of the Silverado. Opening the door. I just don't have much space, so it's a bit difficult. But okay, I'm in here. And in here, let's go ahead and climb inside the back seat. It is spacious in here. I have a lot of room. This driver's seat is back very far. In fact, it's back to the point where a larger driver could comfortably drive the car. And I still have a lot of room. Like, as you can see, that's the legroom test. And here is the headroom that I have. A lot of room back here. That is to be for sure, because this car is just so big, this truck. You have 2 air vents back here. You have a USB Type-C and a Type-A port back here as well. You do have the 2 cup holders, like I mentioned. And there is no center armrest in here. This is a lower trim level, so it's more kind of like a work trying to truck added vibe. But if you get higher trim levels, you will get those features that I mentioned in the Sierra Denali, where you have those pull-out storage bins, the center armrest, etc. This truck, being a lower trim level, doesn't have those features. Another benefit you get in here, there is no center hump. So the middle seat, because this car is so wide and so big, the middle seat is as comfortable as the side two seats. You can see I still have a lot of room in this middle seat, the same amount of headroom too, just generally good space back here. If you go ahead, head over to the rear doors, you'll also find a lot of space. You can see there's quite a bit of space down there. I don't think you guys can see that very well. It's just very, very dark. But, oh, it's a better angle. You can see there's quite a bit of space down there. And there's also some nice materials back here, including this cool-looking wood back here as well. Overall, the back seat is cavernous back here. Huge, huge amounts of room. And you can really stretch out. Like right now, I have more than enough room to stretch out and lie down comfortably back here. Just a lot of space. Alright, so coming around back here is the backside of the Silverado. As you can see here, there is no multi-flex tailgate like in the Sierra Denali. Once again, this is a lower trim level than the Sierra Denali, so you don't get those high fancy features. But remember that it's still an option in this car, so if you want that, you can just get the option. However, I still have to say the bed is as big as the Sierra Denali. Just hitting the button. Let's go ahead and drop it down here. Huge space back here. As you can see, you can have a lot of space. There's a tonneau cover that's kind of blocking the way, but in here there is still a lot of room to place any items. You still have the corner steps that you get with the Sierra Denali, and I like that because if I get in here, as you can see, I can get in the bed and access items pretty quickly. It's also very easy for me to just do. We also have a couple of like grab spots here, so you can just do something like this and then get into the bed if that's what you're looking for. So very easy to get in the bed with those corner steps. I think it's just as you don't really need the multi-flex tailgate with those corner steps available. Overall, huge bed back here. You have a lot of room, obviously, being a truck, and you also have a couple of little holes here for placing cups if you're tailgating. So generally, a very nice back end here for the new Silverado. I like it quite a bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the passenger seat. And I'm here for a specific reason because this car has two glove boxes. If you remember the GMC Sierra, the glove boxes kind of looked a little bit awkward. Like there was this one huge panel and this huge panel here. The new Silverado and the new Sierra, it's blended in quite a bit better. I really like the new layout. You still have this bottom glove box here with a bunch of stuff in this particular unit. But, there you go. And there's also the upper glove box. You might not notice this as a glove box at first. It looks very well blended in. And in fact, I had to look around to see if there was still an upper glove box. But there is. There's this little button here. Hit that button. And there you go. The upper glove box opens and you still have a good amount of space back there. So you still have the two glove box features in case you were wondering. That's carried over from the previous, from the pre-refresh model. Alright, so now heading around the outside of this Silverado, you have quite a bit of blacked out trim. You can see the Chevy badge is blacked out, the grille is blacked out. If you head around to the wheels, those are blacked out, and the Chevy badge on those wheels are also blacked out. As you can see over here, the trim around the windows is blacked out. If you come around back, you can see generally a very black and white-esque look. Actually quite similar to the Sierra Denali that I reviewed a few months, like 6 months ago. As you can see, moving around here, there's a bunch of styling elements that I like. One for example, are these these door steps. So if I open the door, I don't have to use that huge step into the cabin. I can just use that grab handle over there, and then get in. Is just a little bit easier entry. Getting out is a similar story. Use the grab handle, use the door step, and get out. So those running wheels are quite helpful. Also, the door panels themselves are very nice as well. You can see large door panels with the wood and some leather over there too. The interior is also quite nice, as you can see. Quite a bit of nice interior touches. The seats are comfortable, and the general interior, if I do that and start in demo mode, hopefully you can see the infotainment system. This is how it's going to look in your day-to-day driving. So that's the interior, very nice looking interior as well. Oh, and by the way, let's talk about the back seats here. Back seats also quite nice, a bit more basic than the front, but that's to be expected from a big truck. It's still quite a nice back seat. So let's go and talk about lighting. So if I open the door, let's go ahead and turn on hazard lights. Here you go. And headlights. Okay, so with this on, let's go ahead and start with the back here. So in the back, you can see the turn signals are flashing right now, and you also have these tail lights here. They're all LED, and you can see the tail lights kind of wrap around like so, and the turn signals are inside those tail lights. It's a very cool look. Over here, you can see same look obviously on that side, but the more interesting part comes around front. So if you go to the front of the truck, you can see you have this really cool look. I like the way that it looks here, because what happens is you still have these headlights on the top, but down here you have running lights and you have the turn signals. So it alternates between running light and turn signal. Some cars, the running light just goes away and the turn signal takes over. Here, it actually alternates between the running light and the turn signal, so you have both at all times. So, cool lighting element in the front as well. And on the subject of styling, let's go and talk about overall styling here, just from the side view. I like the overall styling of this truck quite a bit. It looks quite nice. Once again, you have the blacked out trim of the RST, the kind of like an off-roady model, and it just looks quite good, the overall styling. And yeah, that's really all I have to say. Just a generally nice looking truck. So here's a look at the window sticker of this truck. As you can see, I don't know if you guys can see it well because of all the rain. Like, there's a little water here. Let me just use my hands, clear it out a little bit at least. But you can see over there, $54,900 for this trim. This is in RST. It's a 4-wheel drive model, and it gets 24 miles per gallon combined. I've got to say, that is impressive for such a big vehicle. Just 10 years ago, these small cars came at like 25, 26 miles per gallon combined. Now we have this huge truck that's getting 24. So that's very, very good fuel economy. And there's also quite a bit of features up here as well. You get a 3-year warranty, and all the features that I mentioned all included for this $54,000 price. You get quite a bit for that price. It's pretty low, that price range, and you get quite a bit of features. And that fuel economy means you're not going to be spending too much on fuel either. So overall, a pretty affordable truck. So the fuel economy comes primarily because this truck is using a diesel engine, and I'll talk more about the diesel engine and I get under the hood. But right now, this truck, as you can see, I'll just talk about, as you can see here, you're supposed to use diesel here, and you have the diesel exhaust fluid as well as a capless diesel filler. And because it's diesel, the fuel is a little bit more expensive than petrol, but the fuel economy is much better than if you use regular gas. Alright, and popping under the hood here, we have a 3-liter Duramax diesel, like I mentioned when talking about the fuel filler door. So here you get 277 horsepower and 460 foot-pounds of torque. And obviously the torque is higher because of the diesel here. That's more than adequate power and torque to really propel this truck. And you get the fuel economy benefits, like I mentioned too. Overall, this diesel engine, just a beast under the car. You get quite a bit of power in this truck. So yeah, the diesel engine's a pretty good choice. And so there you have it. That's the 2023 Chevrolet Silverado 1500. This truck is a phenomenal improvement over the pre-refresh model. And if you want to look at more of the features that this car offers, just go ahead look at my May 2022 GMC Sierra 1500 review, because that truck and this truck are almost identical, and that pre-refresh model has very similar features to this model. I just covered some of the new updates that this 2023 Chevy Silverado and GMC Sierra pair have received from General Motors. But overall, once again, a great truck, a great choice, and I really like it, and I recommend it if you're in the market for a truck.